My favorite thing about Shipt since I signed up for Target Circle 360? No price markups when I order same-day delivery from tons of local stores. Only a handful of alcohol retailers and items don't count. I won't lie, I've had too much fun being like, markups on groceries? Not in my fridge. Markups on pet food? Not for my DOG. Markups on tools, electronics, home goods, meds? Not in my house. Anyway, it's awesome. Order now at shipt.com/360. Terms apply.
The number one selling product of its kind with over 20 years of research and innovation. Botox Cosmetic, onabotulinum toxin A, is a prescription medicine used to temporarily make moderate to severe frown lines, crow's feet, and forehead lines look better in adults.
Effects of Botox Cosmetic may spread hours to weeks after injection, causing serious symptoms. Alert your doctor right away as difficulty swallowing, speaking, breathing, eye problems, or muscle weakness may be a sign of a life-threatening condition. Patients with these conditions before injection are at highest risk. Don't receive Botox Cosmetic if you have a skin infection. Side effects may include allergic reactions, injection site pain, headache, eyebrow and eyelid drooping, and eyelid swelling. Allergic reactions can include rash, welts, asthma symptoms, and dizziness. Tell your doctor about medical history, muscle or nerve conditions including ALS or Lou Gehrig's disease, myasthenia gravis, or Lambert-Eaton syndrome and medications, including botulinum toxins, as these may increase the risk of serious side effects. For full safety information, visit BotoxCosmetic.com or call 877-351-0300.
See for yourself at BotoxCosmetic.com.
Hey guys, have you heard of Goldbelly? It's this amazing site where they ship the most iconic, famous foods from restaurants across the country, anywhere, nationwide. I've never found a more perfect gift than food. They ship Chicago deep dish pizza, New York bagels, Maine lobster rolls, and even Ina Garten's famous cakes. So if you're looking for a gift for the food lover in your life, head to goldbelly.com and get 20% off your first order with promo code GIFT.
You're listening to Saucepans and Sidesteps.
Hello and welcome to this week's edition of the Saucepans and Sidestep podcast. Joining me, Big M, as always, the one and only HG Rugby, Mr. Hugh Griffin. Good evening, my friend. How are you?
Good evening. Yes, we're back unexpectedly. People thought just when you thought it was over, we're here again. Ha ha ha. To do season reviews and things, and there's just you and me. The other boys who we've done the podcast with over the course of the season, none of them fancies sticking around for an extra round or two, so it's just me and you chatting Scarlets.
Yeah, 100%. You know, I was really gutted. I did expect Pringle here. You know, the saying is, once you pop, you can't stop. Obviously, he did, and you know, John fit on a bit of a baptism by fire. His last two podcasts, so I think we need to. He's having his review phase now. You know, we've brought him in. He's had a try. We're going to review and see what he needs to improve on next. Yeah, we're back. We've got a couple of review pods to look into. It's going to be fun. We're going to talk about
season review part one.
Part one of how many we're not going to tell you. It's two. Might be three. Who knows? Who actually knows? But before we dive into that, we have had a little bit of news since the last time we had a podcast, which seems to be about 3 months to me now. It's been a couple of weeks. Is it just the 1 week we've missed off, or is it more than that?
I think, yeah, two.
Okay, so the last time we came on, you boys were talking about Sam Wainwright moving to Cardiff. Thank you for noting that I was devastated by it. I am heartbroken. Not gonna, beat around the same bush again. So we'll just move straight on. We have announced a signing since then. Tristan Davis from over the bridge. He's a young boy. He's I think this is his first senior pro deal. I think he's just come out to senior academy age. So we've picked up another back row after, offloading a couple, through the season, and I believe some of our senior academy forwards might be off as well. So what are we thinking about Tristan? He's had a good couple of appearances this season.
Yeah, it was a bit of a surprise, wasn't it? Because you think, what is that a position that we're needing to sign in and things? But then kind of like looking into it, it kind of makes a bit of sense. So I don't think he's coming in to be first choice. Mind you, all the signings that we made last year, we didn't think any of them would be first choice. We all thought that they were all going to be back up to whoever, and it turns out no, most of them went on to play for Wales. So yeah, and from his quotes, he seems excited to be coming. He might be another secret Scarlets fan, judging by some of the things that he said, and how he didn't need asking twice. So I think if he's a number 6, which looks like he is, he hasn't played tons and tons of games in his career so far at pro level. I don't know, Mark, if you know if he's been in the SRC much.
I can't recall seeing his name this season, at least. Obviously, Welsh Premiership before that, we'd have to. He would have obviously played a fair bit in that. But, like you say, and he's coming in the 6. Like, there are some rumours still floating about that there may still be some changes to come to our squad. There might still be players to leave. There still might be players to come in. I would love it if the club would come out and say, this is our squad. We're done for the season. But obviously, we just get to speculate until then. But looking over, those back row options, and obviously, Via has been our 6 for majority of the season. We know he's not going anywhere for a while.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, an out and out 8 is probably the one thing that we could have probably done with. Obviously, Tane has transitioned into that 8 position this season, and I'll be honest, as a blind side, I think Tane's not far off, a complete package. But as a number 8, there's a few different job descriptions to work your way through. So he is developing there. So that's the only area needing to look at. So I don't understand quite why we've gone for Tristan, especially when we've let go of Carwyn Tuipulotu during the season, and we've also got Ben Williams, who is stepping up out exactly the same as him, out of the senior academy bracket into the first pro contract. So
it seems like we want a big 6, doesn't it? It seems like we want a kind of hybrid, and I believe Tristan's 6'4", something like that.
Yeah, I got 1.93, so that's bang on 6'4".
Yeah, so he seems to be fitting that kind of profile. A few times this season we played dual open sides, and I don't think that's what we want. I think every time that they've had an opportunity to pick a big 6, they've gone that way. So whether that be Max Douglas or Vervita, so I think he probably just suits what we're looking for a bit more than, say, if we had to play McLeod and Dan Davis. Not that they're bad players, it's just I don't think that's the balance that we're looking for.
No, obviously we've talked plenty about balance in the back row over the season and last season as well, to add to that. But on the front, if you're pulling in someone, to add a bit of depth into the back row, I don't think you can go wrong with someone who in this mold. He's a young player, nowhere near his peak yet. We've obviously seen something in him. The fact that he made it all the way through the senior academy means that other clubs have seen something in him. We don't know what the reasons are for him coming over. Did we compete for him, etc., etc. But I don't know if we're going to see a lot of him. It will depend on how our squad looks come that last week of September. Which, wow, last week of September. Oh, that's still banging on my head how long we're going to have to wait.
I know, it's crazy. We're going to have done these 2 reviews. It'll be the end of June, and we'll still have two whole months, and then most of another month before we're back.
It's ridiculous, and we want to see friendlies as well, because obviously this is where you can try and work on your squad. This is I don't understand teams that only go and have 2 or 3 friendlies before season. I can never wrap my head around that. I want to pack as many friendlies in as humanly possible. Don't mind having the week off before the season actually starts. Have 2 weeks to know, okay, these boys are fit. These are the ones we're going to be working with. Taking that from Leicester this season, where we had, like, what was it, 2 or 3 big injuries. I think it was Harry O'Connor, Archie Hughes, and maybe one other that, died from our first 23, literally the week before the season started. But yeah, even if it's a case of, you're running 30-minute games, just get loads, get all the boys out playing. That's what I want to see, and I want to see these different combinations coming in, because obviously we don't have a great deal of new boys coming in. What is it? Tristan, who we just talked about. Dane Blacker, Johan Jones, Jake Ball, and Joe Hawkins. Is that everyone?
Think so.
I think that's everyone. So we need to introduce these players into it, whether or not they'll be in our first 15 or first 23. They need to be integrated. Obviously there is a little bit of history with Ball and Blacker, but you've got to make partnerships with the whole team, not just the boy you were playing alongside. For Blacker, not just remembering, I played a right with Costello, I'll be fine. Like, you need to integrate with everyone, and that's something that I would love to see us do. Unfortunately, I can't see it happening.
No, exactly. I think that any kind of spare money that we've got left over is better off spent on trying to perfect cloning so we can have 2 Sam Costellos.
That would be nice. I would not be against that. I really wouldn't. Okay, the only other bit of news is kind of not news just yet. We are recording this on Monday, the 16th of June. The under-20 squad that will be going to it's not called the Junior World Cup anymore, is it? It's called the
Under-20s World Championship.
That's one. So that squad is being named on Tuesday the 17th, tomorrow or today, or even in the past, whenever you were listening to this. And from what I can gather, it looks like we're only going to have 3 Scarlets in that squad. Now, it's not great, but you need to... there's no easy way of saying we do have a great academy system. We've got a great pathway. The national age grade squads, they never seem to be that heavily influenced by the West Walians, for whatever reason that may be. We know there's a couple of boys who weren't fit that would have been involved. Will Evans, and he was named in this training squad, but he's not quite there. Yori Badam, who obviously got injured prior to the under-20 Six Nations. I've been told people like Sean Jones, who's one that's moving up into the senior academy, he missed the first few weeks of this training camp, and he may have been an outside bet, same as someone like Callum Woolley, who was not quite there, but there was that outside chance. So looking at some of those boys, there's only 100% I can say I know is definitely going, and that's Harry Thomas. Of our lot, Harry Thomas is the one name. He was inked in before the training squad was even announced. He was always going to be going unless some catastrophic incident happened and he wasn't able to go. Now, picking out the other 2 is quite a job. Do you know the boys that we've got in this training squad?
No, I don't. I can't remember many of the names. Is Ellis Price in there?
Ellis Price is in there. We've also got Jack Pritchard, Dylan Alford, Keanu Evans, Carwyn Leggett-Jones, Jake Bowen.
Keanu Evans is a name that keeps coming up. Just people mention him.
He's been a mainstay in the Quins back row this season. He has quietly gone along, just doing his business. I want to say it was last Easter, the under-18 Six Nations Festival. He looked really good for
How
Wales.
young is he? Is he only 19 now?
Yeah, this is his first year of senior rugby. So born 2006, so he will still be under 20s next season. So that's great for him. Obviously, with the calendar year eligibility for the 20s, it does make it awkward for some boys. The likes of Yori Badam, who is the same age as Keanu, won't be eligible for 20s next year, but Keanu is, because they were born a few months earlier. But I'm not a fan of it. but it is what it is. We got to deal with it. So yeah, like I've been trying to go through and think, which of these boys are going to be going with Harry. I think Ellis Price might be a safe bet.
Yeah.
He was in the under-20s Six Nations squad. I believe he came off the bench twice in the last 2 games. Didn't get many minutes. And then I don't know who this other one's going to be. I'm really interested to find out. Like I think it could be Jack Pritchard, the tight end. He's a man after my own heart. Of every time I've seen him play, he's not the tallest, but he's really thick set. He's got a good build on him. Last time I saw him, I think he's gingerish. He might be full ginger now saying that. He's got a skinhead sort of look, and he just loves a scrum. You can just see it in him every time. It's brilliant. There was a comment during one of the under 18 Six Nations. He was just at the ref, scrum, give me a scrum. I just absolutely loved seeing and hearing that. But then we do have someone like Caroline Legger-Jones, who is only 17. Is his talent that much? They're thinking, you know what? Let's bring him for the experience because he's going to be out 10 going into next season. These are the decisions that, obviously the likes of Sneds and all the rest of the under-20 coaches are going to be going through, or I would imagine they've finalized by this point of the night.
Yeah, obviously Caroline Legger-Jones is the one I was kind of surprised to see him named in the 20 squad at all, just because, like you said, he is a couple of years off where most players would be looking to get into that level. And he got a tiny bit of game time against Italy the other night. So I wouldn't be surprised if he didn't go. But like you said, if he doesn't go this time, it just means he's going next time. So it's no biggie either way, really.
Well, no, because he's under 17. He's still in the under 17 category. That's what people need to remember about this kid. He'll still got 3 years and a month left of under 20s rugby. So realistically, if he does go, he could go to 4 World Under 20 Championships. I don't know if anyone's ever done that before. That would be a nice little accolade to hold. So that's enough of that. Community news. Obviously, there hasn't been any games for a while. The fixtures are out for next season. Obviously, the leagues have been all set. So I believe All Wales Sport have got everything up to date for you. So if you're interested in finding out where your team are, if you don't already know, shame on you. You should know. This is your club. Just pop over there, have a look, pick your favorite fixtures, and maybe work out when Scarlets are away, when you can't make it, and go support your local. It's a bit of fun. On to the main reason we're here. Reviewing the Scarlets season. So we've gone back and forth about how we're going to do this. First it was game by game, then it was block by block. Now I think are we sticking with the 4 games at a time?
Yeah, me and Mark agreed ages ago that this is how we were going to format this review, in terms of we'll do 2 parts, and the first one will be a season game by game review. Okay, tidy. And we didn't discuss it again until 5 minutes before we hit record. So we've managed to come up with what we think will work, and then once we've gone through the games, all 23 games that the Scarlets played this season, then we'll do a bit of stats, a bit of a chat, and then we'll see you again for part 2. So I guess, Mark, in the name of we want to get this done this side of Christmas, we better make a move.
Fair enough. This side of Christmas does sound nice. So let's open it up. I know these first 4 games that are coming. I really don't want to talk about these ones. These are probably I don't want to say the worst. Are they the worst 4 of the season? I think there's probably going to be a block of 4 that's worse than these. But we started the season out in Benetton. 20-all draw. Mm-hmm. I mean, that first game coming off the back of last season, I wasn't too unhappy with that at the time. A bit of hindsight. I'm really angry. But that is, hindsight is a bitch, as they say. It is what it is. Didn't use a lot of our bench in that game.
Yeah, but we were struggling to put a team together for that game because I think because Johan Lloyd was named at 12 for that game. That's the state the squad was in. Eddie James had gotten concussed in the last preseason game. Joe Roberts was out with his knee. Johnny Williams was supposed to be on the bench because he was coming back from an injury. Sam Costello pulled out on the day with illness. So they moved Johan to 10, brought Johnny in at 12. It was Max Page at 13. Like our centre partnership as named was going to be Johan Lloyd and Max Page. Like,
I'm
goodness me.
so glad that never happened.
Yeah. That was a sliding doors moment, wasn't it? Thank you for getting sick, Sammy, I suppose. And then you had Jack Davis on the bench with his only appearance for senior Scarlets so far. No.
No,
He's shaking his head at me, ladies and gentlemen.
He started either against Ulster or Munster during the Six Nations.
No, he never.
Yes, he did. I'll get the game for you now. Bear with me. Was it Ulster? Oh my God, I'm on the wrong barrier. He started against. Sorry, he didn't start. He started against Edinburgh. My mistake. The game before the Six Nations.
Yeah, so this was before that. So this is his first Scarlets senior appearance.
Got your train of thought now. I thought you meant end of, like we've never seen his like since.
Right, okay. So anyway, so that's what the team was looking like.
Scrap the pod, start it all over.
that's that's what the team looks like. So it was a bit of a scratch team. And in the end, we were disappointed not to win it.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember exactly how the game went. I believe we were in the lead and they clawed it back.
Yeah, they had a try with like less than 5 minutes to go, and then they missed the conversion, and that's why it was a draw.
Yeah, I mean,
and they kicked the ball out as well. They took the
draw. Yes. I mean, that seems to be a story of the season. You know, we have put teams in uncomfortable positions where they don't want to play, where either they want to get off or they want to take the three. They don't want to try and get a try. So another big talking point from this game was someone on the bench, not just Jack Davis, Gabe Hawley. He didn't make it on the field, but he had never played a single game of men's rugby up until this.
I was at Welford Road for the preseason game where he came on towards the end.
Yeah. So he'd never played in a competitive game of men's rugby. Like even for, an SRC level team, he'd always played for Brunel University in the Bucks leagues. And I don't even think they're a Super Bucks level team. So, that would have been huge, literally come in and, his first job. Oh, by the way, you're on the bench against some Italian internationals. Like that would have been, as great as, the ceiling may be on this kid. He is still a kid. He's 22 now. I want to say he is. That is not a prospect any young front rower wants to have to face. You've never gone up against anyone really more than a couple years older than you. Here you go. You're in a professional game and you're going up against internationals. That would have been a baptism by fire, would have been a massive understatement at that point.
For sure. And I think just generally the Scarlets, I think it set the tone for the rest of the season in a funny way, didn't it?
Yeah, it really did. That disappointment of like we should have won this. It just kept on going. It took a while for us to get past that first hump.
Yeah.
So shall we move into the second game? Saying that the second of this block. So I'm happy to talk about the first 12, 13 minutes of this game, but after that, I don't think anything really happened. Obviously, we are talking about Cardiff at home, where we just absolutely blitzed into a 15-0 lead. What was it?
Scored straight from the kickoff.
Like 12 seconds, something like that. Obviously another team got jealous, within a couple of weeks and thought, we can't let a Scarlet have the fastest try in the league, and they decided to concede even faster. But that's a story for another day.
Based on the Leinster winning the URC the other day, the number of they broke a few records in that game, and it's the number of those records that had been set by the Scarlets in 2017 or 2018 is awesome. So I've seen oh yeah, I forgot that we did that, all Johnny McNichol's stats from 2018 and stuff.
Oh, the hat trick and
Yeah.
things we were
players who have scored a try and assisted in a final: Johnny McNichol, Geordie Barrett. Now, I'm not saying that Geordie Barrett is as good as Johnny McNichol, but I think they could both could have been all Blacks greats if Johnny McNichol hadn't seen the light and decided to play for Wales instead.
He didn't see the light to play for Wales. He saw the light and came to Llanelli and played for the Scarlets. Playing for Cymru was never a big draw for Johnny McNichol. It was always the red Llanelli that he wanted to wear. But no, okay, so
for a long time, this Cardiff one was the worst result of the season, wasn't it? I think for some people will still say that this is the worst we played all season.
I mean, we tried to play in this game, which I think makes it worse. There are other games where we took heavier bumps, but we didn't turn up as such. This game, we obviously turned up to be 15-0 up after same amount of minutes, well, less than the same amount of minutes.
Yeah,
I can't pinpoint why or even how we let that slip. I don't know if it was
I just remember podcasting after it saying don't know how that happened, because I think we dominated every stat apart from the scoreboard, which is obviously the one that matters, cliche. But it was kind of I can't explain how we've gotten battered that badly off Cardiff, and it kind of I think Cardiff fans at the same time were obviously they enjoyed it, but they were I'm not sure we were definitely that much better than you. So, I think it's probably just better that we move on from this one.
Yeah, let's move on. That takes us on to our second home game of the season, which was against Connacht. And again,
you were there.
Hindsight. Was I there for Connacht?
Yeah, you were. I edited the vlog of you being there.
We have it confirmed by Mr. HG, Hugh Griffin, that I was there for Connacht. I'll be honest. I can remember being there for Zebra. I couldn't remember being there for Connacht. I mean, maybe that's why.
The thing I remember from editing that vlog of yours was when we were down 2 scores at half time, and you just looked at the camera and you went, "We'll come out after the half time, 2 quick scores, Scarlets will win this. Bonus point victory, here we come." And I was like, bloody hell, Mark, only you think like that, but you were nearly right.
You've got to be positive. Okay, I know people will say there's realism in it, but I do think there is. I believe in our team. I believe in these players. I believe in the way, even at that point, that was game 3, the way we had tried to play, going back to the season before, you could see already that there were significant differences to how we were trying to play the game. And with those boys that we had on the park, it seemed we could just flip a switch like that and just go and do it. And it was really getting to not get over the line in this one. Do you remember
it was Johan Nicholas chucking the ball behind his own line?
Yeah. I'm going to bite my tongue by here, I think, because, Johan Nicholas has been a great servant to Scarlets. I think he still holds the record for in the professional era as the youngest player to pull on the shirt, 17 years something. I that would need to be checked if anyone does actually know that for sure. So, he's been around for a long time. I think he's still only around 27. He's considering how long he's been around, he's not exactly that old. So 27 years old, just turned in April. So, he's been with us since he was 15 years old. When that first set in, Scarlets under 16s, Pontevedra East. That'd be East. So he's been a great servant, but I don't expect to see, a great deal of him unless we do get significant injuries or significant call-ups as the season goes. It looks as though the way our centres have developed and the back three recruitment, because let's be honest, Ellis, me, and Blair Murray have took the season by storm. That's two players that he probably wouldn't have thought of being behind.
Yeah, exactly.
Coming into this season, but there we are. But yeah, that moment, players are allowed brain farts. They're absolutely allowed to have those moments. They wouldn't be human if they didn't. But just it hurts seeing that, especially when when it's a game as tight as that, and these moments can turn everything. It doesn't have to be a try scoring moment. It doesn't have to be it doesn't have to be a turnover. Just anything that feels like a momentum shift, and it wasn't so much as a momentum shift; it's more of a momentum shift lost. Like we could have gained from that, but we didn't, and that is what it is. 24-23. Do you want to round off the Connacht game?
Person who gave away the penalty for us to lose the game by a point was Marnus van der Merwe. I wonder how the rest of his season turned out.
I wouldn't have thought very good. Not starting it like that, you can't finish it very well. So that brings us to game 4. Game 4 of this first block that we're going through, and for some reason, game 4 of the season, we were having our first return fixture against a Welsh club, and that was Cardiff down at Cardiff Arms Park. Needless to say, bit happier with this game. Bit of a better result. We did manage to get over the line for the first time this season. Was 25-19 was the win.
Down to 13 as well for the end of this one.
Yeah. This is where who was it, Blair with the cover tackle? He just ran like 9,000 meters just to catch up with him, which was outstanding. And again, this early in the season, that did tell you the sort of player the Blair was going to be. He was that sort of attitude.
Carwyn said that Blair Murray would score 15 tries this season. In the end, he only scored 12.
Did he only score 12? I'm sure he scored more than that.
I'll tell you now. Hang on.
Is this 12 real or 12 by?
Well, no, he had a good 3 or 4 disallowed. So he scored 13 tries in total, including 2 for Wales. So he scored 11 for us. And then, but he had a good 3 or 4 disallowed as well.
Well, what I want to add into this is he scored 11 from 17 games. So he didn't play in 6 games. If he played in those 6 games, he would have banged that 15 nice and easy. I'd completely forgotten that Karen had said that. He was a regular part of the podcast at that point in the season. He's completely disappeared since that moment. But no, I mean, I think if we do go back and we counted the tries as we were initially, I think he would have gone well into 20. The ones that should have been allowed, etc. He's been outstanding. Obviously, the move to fullback, giving him more time on the ball. Obviously, he's beating a lot more people, making a lot more meters. That is, again, that's something that we're all fighting with. Is this going to be fullback long term? Who knows what happens when the next Welsh coach comes in and he goes, well, if he goes, you know what, Blair, I don't really fancy you as my 15. I'd rather you on the wing. Do we then revert? Those sort of questions crop up. And I know you've said that aerially there are some things to work on, and they can be worked on. Just because you're not the tallest person in the world doesn't mean you have to be the worst person in the air, and vice versa.
Well, look at Freddie Stewart, who is the tallest person in the world in the Premiership final on the weekend. Couldn't catch a cold.
Exactly. And
I'm a man who can catch a cold.
as he currently has a cold. He caught it quite recently out in Cyprus, the posh bugger. Cyprus for a wedding. That's what Mr. Griffin does with his spare time. It's terrible. And you're us common folk. Don't even get to go anywhere. So yeah, back to the game.
I just remember being so relieved because after the first three games, I'd come on the podcast and I argued that no, we are good. I know that we didn't win, but we were decent. And when we were down to 13 and we were defending for our lives, I was like, I can't go on the pod forward and defend four games without a win, especially because, like we said prior to the season, like we've got a favourable start fixture wise. We need to be getting some wins on the board. So I just couldn't face coming on the pod and talking about it if we hadn't won that game.
Well, I don't know if you remember, I said we were going 6 from 6 to start the season. And I mean, we went 3.5 from 6.
Yeah, I know, but you said mental things like we'll beat Leinster and stuff this season. That's how crazy you are.
I also said we beat the Bulls, didn't I? You know, how far away was I with that? But yeah, you know, back to this. It's like he scored 2 tries, Cowdog, Gareth Davis. Just seemed to think he was very, very instrumental in this game. You know, he really grabbed it by the scruff of the neck. He took control, and you know, I think he's the big reason why we did actually come away with a victory in this one.
100%.
So, block one win. Okay, not really block one, but our block one. Our first block of 4. 1 win, 1 draw, 2 losses. We really should have been looking at 4 wins at that point. Going off the way the games had gone and how we had played, there's no reason they couldn't have been 4 wins.
Yeah, I think that's the sentiment after that was kind of both we've missed an opportunity and also the performances were there. Because last season, like when we won games, we were like, we've won, but the performances weren't better. Whereas this season, it was like, okay, we're not winning, but the performances are reassuring. Like we can get on board with what we're seeing on the pitch here. And then as the results started to turn as the season went on, that feel good factor continued, which was nice.
Yeah. So that feel good factor does continue. Now we're going into our second block of 4. And we do get that Bulls game straight off the bat. So Bulls visiting the park. Obviously, the Bulls have never won at the park because, you know,
because they're not as good as the Scarlets.
They're not as good as the Scarlets. We know this. I mean, you can just take a look at the most recent results against champions Leinster to know which team is better. So, obviously, we got to talk about Tommy Rodge. His try was a thing of beauty. Blair's try was great as well. I thought we botched that when he started just running through players after taking that high shot. But everything about that game, I think that was one that really gave me the belief that we can properly go on and we can do things. We can, you know, I thought we were still in with a shout of being, you know, potentially getting a home quarterfinal at that point. Obviously, you know, we're talking 5th game of the season, so it's still well in our own hands at that point. It's just the absolute the guts, the resolve, the physicality, everything we needed to show in this game.
I think the squad took a lot from this game from the rest of the season. I think that this was a touch point for the players for all the big games that we had for the rest of the season was like, look what we can do. Because like remember the game was won with a scrum penalty. We got a scrum penalty in the 81st minute against the Bulls to win a game. Like, so I just remember Josh McLeod just like dropping to his knees like ah. So I think because our first try was him crashing over from a tap and go,
Yeah.
which I remember at the time thinking, why have we gone for a tap and go? Like we're not going to beat the Bulls in a physicality contest, and we did. So I just think that this was psychologically massive for the squad in terms of what they believed that they could do, what they realized they were capable of, and just having that to to draw inspiration from.
Yeah, 100%. You know, still go back to this game as probably the I don't want to say the best win because I do think we had better wins as well. You know, we were a lot better than the opposition. Say like the game following this, the score line itself is just massive. You know, this was 23-22. This was a 1 point game, but everything, like you said, this was a marker mentally. It gave us what we needed. First time we saw Max Douglas at 6, as you alluded to earlier on in the Tristan Davis chat, and getting that big 6, and it worked. You know, Max as a 6 worked incredibly well. It's a big gut in he ended the season early, the way that he did. But yeah, this was a magic game. It really was, and I was this close to going to this one, but I ended up going to Zebra the week after. I was like, if I'm gonna go on a Friday night, I've got to at least be like at least 99.9% sure of a win. That was my feeling, and so that was the decision making behind that one. But yeah, Bulls game, awesome, absolutely loved it. If you want a game to go back over and really feel what the season was going to be and where they came from, I think that is the game to properly look at. So mentioned it just there, the following Friday night. So this is round 6, and by this point, this was our 4th home game and our 3rd one on a Friday night. Not great scheduling.
No, we've got few. I'm pretty sure we do have fewer Friday night games that next season. I think we've only got 2. One, we've got 2 plus Boxing Day is a Friday. It just happens to be a Friday.
Yeah. So if you just look at the pure dates, it is 3 Fridays, but obviously that Boxing Day makes it into 2 because it's Boxing Day, it's bank holiday, happy days.
Yeah.
Yes, and again, all 3 of them were in October. If you said to me, there's Friday night games in April and May, I'm like, that's not too bad. I don't mind. Or even early September. Then again, the league doesn't start till the end of September. But having them in those months it's not the nicest, especially what was it, 7:30 kick? Yeah, all 7:30 kickoffs, so they're hard times. So I do remember this one a little bit more because I can remember Max Page scoring a good try on this, and this was the game that I got to have the ref mic on my ear for the first time, and I'm going to plug it again because that thing is amazing. I have used one before, but it was like one-off years and years ago. So getting it again, just hearing everything, hearing that, it gives you that community feel. And I know I do bang on about that a bit, but when you're on the sidelines, when you're literally 2 meters away from touchline, and you can hear everything that's going on, having that on your ear, hearing everything. Obviously, it helps with the refereeing decisions as well when we don't have the link up with the tannoy system to hear the referee. So it just emphasized everything in the game for me. I loved it, and anytime I go back to a game now, if there's an option for that mic to be used, I'm bloody using it, 100%. Ref radio, I think they've called it. But the game itself, it was a comfortable win, 30 points to 8.
It was a bit of a flat first half. I think we might have been losing at half time or just ahead by a point or something.
Yeah, I think we spoke about it after, and again, we come back to the Bulls game before. The emotional high of getting that win, the manner of that win, when you're going up against Zebra the week after, and obviously at this point, Zebra was still, probably odds on to be 16th come end of the season. I don't know if they'd had any wins by this point. I can go in and have a look if you really fancy it. But it's like we've gone from someone who's likely to finish top 2 or thereabouts, beating them on our batch. We're now going against essentially the worst team in the league, or at least the worst team coming into the season. So getting that emotional level the same.
I think Gareth Davis as well in his post-match interview said that he was worried about that. They asked him like, "Oh, how was that?" And he goes, "I was worried coming into this game because we were so focused on the Bulls. I was worried that we were going to let it slip against Zebra." And like I said, in the first half was poor. And then in the second half, we started playing some nice rugby. And obviously, it's just, will always be remembered as the Max Page try game where Eddie's given the soft hands of death on the halfway line and he's done the rest.
He's just flown around. Like he's not just done a straight line pace. He's literally gone around people as well, which is always funny when you see the man positioned, the fullback or the wing or wherever is positioned where they are, and they still get done on like an
Takes him on
outward
the
arc.
outside.
Yeah, you can't. Obviously, it does happen, and when you've got someone with that sort of top end pace, they can do it. I'm not saying you should be embarrassed by it, but you need to make at least make them score in the corner if that's the sort of thing. If you're going to get outpaced like that when you're the last man, you've got to at least try and get him into that 5 meter channel.
Yeah,
but that's about as much as I can remember from this Zebra game.
Yes, me too.
So I didn't bring this up to you before, Pod, because I don't know if I really want to discuss it or not. There was technically a 24th game. So we played a development fixture during the Autumn Internationals. Do you remember it?
Was it against Exeter?
No, that was last year during the Six Nations. It was against the Dragons.
Oh, yeah. And we got hosed.
It was just after Di Flanagan got let go.
Wasn't it kind of like we'd had a bit of a nod and a wink of we're going to play this kind of level team. We'll play this kind of level team. And then we turned up on the day and it was like, hang on a second.
Yeah. So it was meant to be a pure development, academy level, or, fringe player sort of team. So quite literally, I think Morgan Jones is our oldest player. We had boys from Swansea University come and pitch in. We had boys from our under 18s. This was quite literally a development. Like, not all of these players were even contracted to us or even in an extended academy spot. So that was the agreement. It was going to be mostly academy players, and then they just turned up with essentially a professional squad, which wasn't ideal. Did take a thumping, but is what it is, and we move on with the world. So Autumn Internationals end, and we then go up to Glasgow. So okay, I'm gonna say this is game 3. Glasgow's game 3 of this block. So we lose out 17-14. Now I can remember at the time people were going about, it wasn't Glasgow's first 15. Like, we had a tremendously good season with injuries that we managed to get majority of our first 15 on the pitch every game, unless we chose to develop. So when people say, oh, it's not their first 15, well, you don't get your first 15 that often. Hardly ever. I mean, do you look at Leinster's squad for the last 3 games and go in the playoffs and go, oh, that wasn't their first 15 because there were a few players missing? The squad's for a reason. And especially when you do go up to Glasgow and against Edinburgh, this is, 2 teams for a nation bigger than ours. 4.5 million or whatever it is in Scotland to service 2 teams, as opposed to 3.5 for 4 with us. So I don't take any note of those sort of comments, even when we'll come on later to another game against a different nationality team that we were up against. But I can remember watching this one and being like, yeah, we're doing this. We're going up. We're going to do Glasgow on.
We made Glasgow take a kick at goal. We made Glasgow take a shot at the 3, which they never do. I think they did it twice or 3 times the whole season. And one of them was against us to beat us.
It was obviously this is going off memory. Like I haven't even watched the little highlights to refresh my memory. But I can just remember it was obviously it was a tight contest, 17-14, really not ultra low scoring, but low scoring game. But I can just remember the dog and the boy, just the fight, the scrappiness of every ruck, really, giving it that contest, making them work for everything. And like you said, they did go for the 3, which Glasgow do not like doing, and unless they've have no other choice.
Speaking of, though, I think the reason that we lost this one was we didn't go for a 3, which we should have done, and then we went for a 3 that we shouldn't have done and missed it, and then we tried to do a drop goal, and it became very evident that we had not trained how to do a drop goal.
Yeah, there were some funny moments in this one, to be fair, but yeah, it's a nice one to reflect on, because there's not many that go up to Glasgow and win, or even come close like this, because obviously they saw the sort of threat that they thought we were offering. We didn't have a great deal of boys, staying, not playing due to the autumn internationals. I'm trying to think how many didn't actually. I think it was is it Eddie James was the only one that didn't play because of that? Oh no, he was on the bench. Never mind. I think we had all internationals back. Okay, there's my point gone straight into the dirt, as always. But no, it was looking back on it, even again, hindsight. Yes, we could have won, and you are right. There were those moments in the game which you can laugh about now. But I'm just thinking, a win there or even a draw there, how much would that have bolstered us going further again? So,
well, even that would have, like, we would have been in the playoffs with 2 rounds to spare instead of just 1 round to spare.
Exactly.
We'd have been traveling to Glasgow.
Oh, that would have been lovely. I would have made that trip. I would 100% have gone to Glasgow. So, game 4, and we now enter into the European round. So this is the last game of this 4-game block that we're going to talk about. And we need to really pick up the pace here, because we are dragging this out. Christ, we said it was going to be a block by block. We are going game by game.
You're driving, mate. I'm just answering the questions you're asking me.
Oh, okay. Play on. We rotated. So we had 5 different players come into the starting 15. 3 players come into 4 players come onto the bench. Archie Hughes returning for the first time. That was really nice to see.
Yeah.
Sean Evans at hooker. So obviously you wouldn't be faulted for thinking Elias and Marnus were the only people that played hooker this season for us. But Sean Evans, he did manage a small handful of appearances, and I want to say he got a try. I
think he did. I think, if memory serves, we kind of got blown off the pitch a little bit in the first half, but we managed to get a try right at the end of the first half, and that kind of got us back into it.
Yeah, because we were like camped on their try line when we just as I think the clock might have already gone red as he went over.
I think Bayonne had loads of opportunities and weren't converting, and then we converted one of ours, and then it was kind of game on. And then it was another one. Do you remember how we lost this? I think it was Archer Holtz pushed someone off the ball or something, and the referee gave a penalty for it, and Bayonne slotted it. It was the softest, most jobs-worth decision from a referee I've ever seen. It was like, I think so. It was something like one of the Bayonne players had dived over a ruck and hit Archie, and then as he's gotten up, Archer Holtz has given him a
no, he's just walked into him. He's walked into him, if I can remember rightly.
And then the referee gives a penalty, and then it's a 1-point win for Bayonne.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that now, because he's just triggered it. I think that was Archer's debut as well, so not a great way to endear yourself to the faithful. But Oh Christ, I completely forgot about that. Imagine the game. It could have flipped the round of 16
I
result.
know, so much could have been different.
I know we could have had 2 home games on the bounce. That would have been nice. Extra home games are always good. You got to be at the park. If you can get to the park, go to the park. Fill the ground up. We need it right now, especially. It's unbelievably important to get more bodies into the ground. And if you can go, go. I will be working my ass off to try and find a way to view as many Scarlets games as possible. It's not going well so far, given the fixture list, but I am trying my absolute hardest. So, block 4, part 3 done. We're now into the third block and the game of revenge. So we've had
Oh
some
yeah, I
we've
forgot
had
about this one.
we've had some dodgy Friday night fixtures early in the season. We've now got a Sunday home game to contend with, and not just a Sunday home game that you'd expect. We get to play it against a Georgian team. So I think the
Who
fact
we'd never played before.
so I think the fact that we got 6,000 for this one was brilliant. Sunday 15th of December. I think a lot of people have got better things to do with the Sundays coming into December. So well done to everyone that actually turned up for this one. That's brilliant reading. Even though I'd like to see another 50% on it this year. So yeah, bit of revenge required, and let's be honest, job done. It was literally just that.
I remember it being a spicy game. There was lots of niggle. The Georgians were throwing their weight around a little bit, and I remember that bloody Verfafita scoring that worldie from his own 22 that got chalked off for no reason. Apart from that, oh, and Archie scored because it was after because I had interviewed Archie in the week, and then he scored on the weekend. So basically, I beat back line is what I'm saying.
Yeah, 100%. And if you haven't listened to that Archie interview, it is a really good one. So, get on the page, search for the Archie interview. The younger kids we're speaking to, like obviously Charlie Titcombe has gone to Leicester now, wish him all the best now. But those two boys, same as Kemsley Matthias, you were one with him. They love talking. It is brilliant. The way Archie in particular was talking about other nines. That's just a great listen to anyway. Any point of the year, any time of the season. If you're really missing rugby right now, just go through player interviews. There's a good few crackers in there, and I gotta give it to who. I loved your chat with Archie and with Kemsley. They were awesome. Fair play. So back to this game. Yeah, it was a different prospect, I think, for them because I honestly believed when they travelled last year, they were like, we can actually win this game. And I think it was completely different this time around.
God, when we played them last, it's the worst performance the Scarlets have ever put in.
I'm not arguing that. I'm really not arguing that. So yeah, it was comfortable. It was 36-18. 6,000 people again on a Sunday afternoon at Christmas. Awesome stuff. Yeah, and like you said, Archie, he got the 5th and final try of that game. And, bonus point win in Europe. So happy days. That set us on our way there. So game 2, there was, a lot of issues with this game because it should have been on Boxing Day. But apparently some teams, they're not allowed to schedule games at their home stadium.
It was
on
just a bit
days
complicated for reasons.
So we ended up playing on the Saturday, the 21st, which I didn't mind. That was perfectly all right with me. It gave us a nice bigger gap to the Dragons game on New Year's Day instead of having a 5-day turnaround that we end up with. But the game itself, again, this is another one I'm struggling to see how we lost.
Again, it feels ridiculous, doesn't it? And opposition fans must just love it when we lose and we come on the pod and we say we were by miles the better team. By miles and miles and miles were we the better team in that game. I couldn't believe that we lost it. And I remember that I couldn't watch it live. And so I remember I was out with my girlfriend and her parents having pizza, and I couldn't think about anything else other than the Scarlets. And we I came home and I took myself upstairs so I could be on my own when I checked the score. I saw that we'd lost. I saw that we lost by a point. I saw that we lost by a point from a try in the overtime, and I couldn't wrap my head around how gutted I was.
It's
And then I watched the game back, and we were brilliant.
like there were moments, like I can actually remember the days after this, because there were moments in this game where the certain players' superiority over their opposite number was just unraveled. Like Eddie James was outstanding. He literally, I want to say he was Kieran Williams and Owen Watkin were the opposite centres, and he put them to shame. You know, I think there was a moment where Kieran came in full tilt trying to tackle Eddie, and he hit Eddie, and Kieran just dropped to the floor, and he was just like, "Well, what are you doing?" It would just, it's funny thinking about them now, but obviously the result did go the wrong way, which obviously that is the stickler. But again, you know, we'd shown so many signs that we can compete, we can do this, and this is what we need to sort out for next year, which hopefully we have sorted in this last half of the season, where when we are playing better rugby, when we are being the better team, we actually win the damn game.
Yeah.
I think that's got to be key moving forward, and thankfully we have done that in a fair few. I mean, derbies are always interesting, and you know, form does go out the window to a certain extent, because obviously they were on a real bad run, but obviously they changed their coach, and I can remember saying in the week they've changed shit. Something's not going to go down well now, but yeah, it came out that way. It came out that way, unfortunately. Happy to move on to New Year's Day. Have you got any last things to say?
No, let's move on.
Let's move on. So we're into the new year. We're into 2025 now. Finally, after literally an hour of talking, we're only now into 2025. So this was the Dragons at home, New Year's Day. I want to say it was last year's Dragons where Sammy missed the penalty kick.
Yeah,
to win the game
at Rodney Parade.
At Rodney. It is nice to play Dragons at Rodney. I'm just going to say that for the sake of it. So 32-15, we got the win. We got the bonus point. I think Blaine Murray got a double. Blaine Murray got a double. Yeah.
Yeah, we had a try of the season nominee in this one. I think we went from our own 22. Just playing bars rugby, really. And I remember we were in the group chat with Gav and Jamie, and I think, do you remember the Dragons were wearing this weird Germany kit?
Oh, I know. Yeah, I got you.
And Gav put something in the group chat, like something along the lines of, "Why are we looking like Germany and you're looking like Fiji?" Because we were just like offloading everything. And it was probably the most fun game to watch of the season up until that point.
It was really good. I think one thing I note from me this game is, because I did actually look into it further for a specific reason, it was that Tane was just lost his head in the last half hour. He was just he gave away like 3-4 penalties for no reason. And you know, okay, the game was won at that point, but it just makes. Thankfully, I weren't looking at it till after the fact. You know, if I'd clocked it during the game, we're like, Tane, what are you doing? But it was like 4 penalties in the space of something like 10-15 minutes. It's a case of like, oh, Dwayne, you should need to get him off. Like, it was that sort of performance where, you know, yeah, I like it where there's a bit of niggle, and I like to see the players. And Tane is definitely someone who has got that sort of not so nice streak in him, and we did see it a bit in there. We have seen bits of it. His control in that, because obviously people think he's a penalty machine. He's not. He's not a penalty machine. He's a back row forward that competes. If he gives away a penalty a game, I'm okay with it. Okie dokie. So last game of this block is a game that you went to, and you definitely went to this one. It was Gloucester.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
this was our worst result of the season to that point.
Yeah, so third round of Europe. Obviously, we'd won one, lost one at this point, 2 bonus points picked up. So, we were still in a good position. We could have still gone for a home quarterfinal, if not a home semi-final at this point, with the way that bloody pool groups, and unbelievable. And the main thing I remember from this game is, even though Gloucester won 31-7, I don't think they were all that good. And Ellis Mee put Josh Hathaway in his pocket all game.
Elliot Smith put Josh Hathaway in his pocket. Eddie James put Max Llewellyn in his pocket. It was, I think, 2 or 3 of their tries were from nothing. Like, there was one where a ball bounced off a man's head and they ran the length and dotted it down. So, and my abiding memories from this game is obviously the Scarlets fans in the shed being amazing, and then also Sammy breaking his collarbone. And I remember seeing him receiving treatment on the pitch, and the physios lifted his arm up, and he's jumped about 3 foot in the air because it hit him that bad. And that was almost curtains for our season. That moment, that was almost curtains for our season. Cowdell came off the bench in the second half and changed the game. Maybe should have come on at half time. But I think this is one where our back line had an average age of 22.
Oh, bear with me. I do actually have it. 22, bang on, yeah.
So
not even points, 22 flat.
Yeah. So it was. I think looking back on it, they had clearly made a decision on Challenge Cup away games to rotate, and it just backfired in this situation, unfortunately, with the injury to Sammy. So yeah, just disappointing, and I just remember being frustrated of like why we were trying to just play phase play on the halfway line. I was like, please stop doing this, please stop playing like this, and we just didn't.
Yeah, just it is up there. Like I got 3 games that I'm really not happy about in this season, and this is one of them. So, taking us into a new block. Is it a new block now? Yes, a new block now. So that's game 12/13. So the final game of Europe, the pool stage, was against Van at home, and we brought amazing fans away with us to the shed to Gloucester, and Van brought some amazing fans from Brittany over to us.
Yeah, they've been relegated now. I'm sad about that. Their fans were great. They really built up this game as a Celtic derby because they view themselves. So people who don't know, Brittany in northern France, Breton is a language. It's very similar to Welsh. They've got a national anthem of Brittany. Well, I guess it's not a national anthem, but they've got an anthem of Brittany, and it's to the tune of the Welsh national anthem. So great club, great fans. Sad they've gone down, and they were great. They were interacting on socials and stuff. It was fantastic. And I think in the game itself, we smashed them in the first half. I think we scored something like 4 or 5 tries in the first half, and then let them massively back into it in the second half and cost ourselves a home playoff game, which was disappointing. I remember that all the fans were really annoyed because we'd had a great first half, but then the game ended in such we were almost clinging on despite having been like 30 points up in the first half. So people were really ticked off after this game.
Yeah, the foot really came off the pedal in that second half, and you are right. We were talking points difference was going to be what got us that home round of 16 draw, and it was there. I think I'm going off memory here, but I think it was something like 15, 16 points we needed to win by. Obviously, again, need to go back to try and have a look at what this all was. And obviously, we were in that place because it was that last try, I think, that took it away from us. It was good. It was a great experience. It really was, and, I've pitched the idea of, having a little preseason competition, using this Celtic heritage, getting Van, getting Cornish Pirates, and us, just the one day, pick a ground, whatever it is, 3 40-minute games, whoever gets the most points lifts a little trophy. I think things like that would be brilliant. A pre-season tournament that's done in the one day. I could get behind that. If you rotate that around the 3 grounds. Scarlets 1 year, Cornish Pirates the next, Van the next, and then recycle. I think that's something that fans could really get behind, and you could. It gives you that bit of feel of the olden times where you had that yearly annual trip somewhere, like we do with the Boxing Day where we play them or whatever. I think that would have played into that, which would have been great. I can't see it happening, sadly. Breaks my heart. But there we go. So we now hit the Six Nations period, because all of our players have gone, and we get
our entire backline got picked for Wales.
Our entire backline got picked for Wales. Was there any real surprise, though? No, let's be honest, they are that good. So Edinburgh came down to the park. Thankfully, Scotland are a two club country, because this could have been a different result.
I couldn't watch this one either. You know where I was checking the score from this one from? I was in London, and they've got this cable car ride over the city, and I was in one of these cable cars, God knows how many feet above London over the Thames, checking my phone, and the missus going, "Isn't it lovely? Look at the views. Look, you can see this and you can see that." And I'm like, just staring at my phone, waiting for why isn't it refreshing? So that was my experience of this game. Another one which was squeaky bum time. Another one where fans were annoyed that we didn't get the bonus point.
Yeah, I mean, was this Marnus's first try for us? No, I think it was I think it was Van, wasn't it? That he got his first try for us the week before. So it was great. It was great to see him, get over the line, where Josh had been stealing all his tries up to this point. But 30-24 finished. I mean, this, considering like what we've just said, where we lost our entire 10 through 15, it was kind of to be expected. I mean, we saw Steph Evans for the first time returning from long time injury. Jack Davis got his start of the season, and then we had a completely new centre partnership, with Johnny Williams and Max Page, where I want to get this right, neither had played against Van the week before. And I want to say Max Page had played the week before that, so he'd been a week off, and we'd been in a couple of weeks for Johnny. So this is not a scratch side, but this was one of them moments where I talk about your first 15. This was the first 15 we had with us, and this is what we went with, and it was enough to get us over the line. Thankfully.
Did we was this the game we had a 6-2 split because we just didn't have any more backs to put on the bench?
Yes, we did, and we didn't actually use half of our bench either. Sean Evans, Evan Jones, Charlie Titcombe, and Jared Taylor all didn't come on, which is
a 6-2 split where we only used
4 subs.
Some of them. Wow. Only the Scarlets.
And we used Sam O'Connor, Gabe Hawley, Jack Price, and Tane Plumtree. Tane's in there. But the players we used, that is. We joke about our use of the bench, etc., but it is quite funny going back all this. So that was game 1 of the Six Nations period. We had another 2 to deal with in this current block. So Munster away.
I watched this one in a hotel room at the Cliff in Cardigan, and we weren't very good. We were on the wrong side of some very Welsh team playing in Ireland refereeing.
So before we go into that, there was a reason you were in Cardigan. It was because the podcast, I went last year, you and Carwyn went this year. We've got a sort of annual trip up to Newcastle Emlyn that we've just spontaneously developed. I'm scratching my head at who I went to go see. I believe you went to go see them play against Cross Keys, led by former Scarlet legend Morgan Stoddard.
Didn't you see them play Cross Keys?
No, you saw them play Cross Keys.
Yeah, I know, but I thought you did as well.
No, I want to say it was Bonham Mine. No, I'm gonna.
They would have been in Div 1 at that point.
No, Champ West, because they were in the Premiership this season.
Yes, that's right.
I'm gonna have a little niggle. So
remember that we have got the rest of a podcast to record, and we're going a while already.
Yeah, I know. So let's try and be a little bit faster.
Not much to talk about from the Munster game.
Yeah, we were poor. We didn't turn up. This is that one where, like, this was just not great from us at all. And yeah, disappointing, but is what
we
it is.
Didn't have the ball at all. I think we had like 20% possession or something. We never touched the ball. Munster weren't even very good. I remember that from the game. Munster were very ordinary at best.
Yeah, that is. Yeah, they are lingering memories. Okay, so last game in this block does take us to the other Six Nations game, which was Ulster. And I watched this game from my phone whilst in a pub in London. I was away for a gig with the missus, and I was literally, every time she was going to the bar or going to the toilet, I was literally phone up, trying to watch this game, and it was just disastrous. She's giving me evils now. She's actually in the room. Shit, I shouldn't have said that. So the game finished, what was it, 30-28. We really should have put this to bed.
This is the most angry I was all season with this one, because I remember giving it the big one in the build-up, because saying, if we are a playoff level team, we need to be beating Ulster, because Ulster were rubbish at this point of the season. And they finished bottom Irish province as well. They finished 14th in the league. So I was like, we got to beat Ulster. And then I think we went 2 scores up early on. I remember Max Page scored one, or someone scored one, and we basically walked to the try line. Like, it was easy. And then we just let them back into it. And, it was a classic case of Ulster didn't win it, we lost it.
Yeah.
And I think everybody was in a really bad mood after this one. Like I was very angry about this. And I think because me and the missus were going out or something, and she'd gone, like, I was watching the game, and there was something like 5 minutes to go, and I hadn't gotten ready, and she was like, "There's 5 minutes to go. Scarlets in the lead. Can you go and get ready, please?" So I went. I went upstairs to get ready, and I just heard from the living room, "Oh dear," and I was like, "Right, I think I know what that means." And I came back down, and we'd conceded, and the game was lost. And I was so annoyed. I was so annoyed. This is for me the worst one of the season.
Of games we could have won. Yeah. No. Yeah. You've got me thinking now. Yeah, I can't decide. I can't decide on the spot. It's not me. It's not good for me. Okay, that's the end of this block. Now we come into the post Six Nations block, where we get another Derby doubleheader. But first, we welcome some other South Africans to town. The last time the Stormers came to visit was in the final round of the inaugural URC season, where they went on to win the whole thing. Well done, them. This time round, I didn't see nothing special from them.
We were terrible in this game. It was that we had Munster, Ulster, 3 losses in a row. I think we went from 5th in the table to 10th, something like that. Our points difference took an absolute hammering. Do you remember there was the try in this game? I think it was Zas scored off a line out. He just ran through. Someone fell over and he just ran straight through. And you're like, how does that even happen in a professional rugby game? Like, we were bad in this game. That, ironically, that try that the Stormers scored against us is one URC try of the season from this game.
Oh, happy days. Well, I can tell you, we were 6th in the league after Edinburgh. And then after Munster, Ulster and Stormers, we were down in 14th. Like, Jesus Christ, those 3 games really did give us a hammering.
Yeah, but we were bad against the Stormers because I remember it again. The Stormers tried to throw it away as well, and
As they do.
we were just awful.
Yeah, nothing really to comment about this one. We were obviously bringing players back in for whatever reason from the Six Nations, from injury. Like I can see it, Ellis, me, Eddie James, Team Plumtree, Josh McLeod, Henry Thomas. They all came straight into the 15. Tommy Lewis returned in this game, so great to see him again. Friend of the pod, I should say. Love Tommy. Gutted he got injured last season. Would have been an international, but there we are. We now have even more backline internationals. So on to the next game, and this was the first of the Derby Day double header, where we welcomed our closest rivals, Ospreys, to the park. And considering it was a Saturday, 29th of March, it wasn't a bank holiday or nothing, I would have liked to see a few more, but 11,384. It's a great attempt. Really good crowd, especially given again the season we came off. I've reiterated that way too many times now. I need to stop. I just don't think there was anything I didn't like about this game.
I didn't like that we went 17-0 down. I didn't like that we had the worst kickoff restart ever. I missed the first half of this. And it was a good job because I remember saying, like, if I'd have watched it live, like when I watched the first half back, because I watch all the games twice. I watch it live and then I watch it back again. When I watched the first half back, so I was seeing it for the first time, I was like, thank God I didn't watch this live because I would have had a heart attack. I would have gone into cardiac arrest at how bad we were in that first 20 minutes.
Yeah, we were bad, but at the same time, I'm obviously you know me. I like you said against Connacht, I was still there going, yeah, we're doing this. We're going to win this. Nice and easy now. I was like, we've given them those points. We've gifted it to them. So all we need to do is just stop giving them the points. And again, I'm
remembering things about the first derby now that I didn't mention the first time around that I'm annoyed about, but it's too late now.
Yeah, let's not go back through that. We'll have to rewind. We're already like an hour and 20 into this. Apologies if you've made it this far. Amazing. Like, share, subscribe, 5-star review. 5-star review and call us shit if you have to. Just make sure it's 5-star. That's the only one that counts. Yeah, so 38-22. Obviously, we were that it was that weekend was like 17-0. That scoreline was just detrimental to anyone who held it.
Yeah, Ulster went 17-0 up against the Stormers and lost. Oh no, Stormers went 17-0 up against Ulster and lost. But yeah, in the end we battered them, didn't we? And we got a man up. We scored what I think was the try of the season. It was Joe Roberts' score with the Alec Hepburn basketball pass with the lovely late sweep around. I loved it. I thought that I like I said, I picked that as my try of the season. So in the end, a thumping victory for the Scarlets. And then we had a week off.
Yeah, we did. We told all the boys, go on holiday. Just, we need your shadows for the next game. And that is, I think this is, very similar. I hate saying this, but we were very identical to this opposition in the fact that we definitely targeted one game where they definitely targeted one game. Obviously, we wanted the league. We wanted it more, which is why we turned up in that game. And, they wanted Europe more, which was understandable. They could have they got the home quarterfinal. They could have had a home semi-final. And then it was Cardiff for the final, which, that would have been a no-brainer. And,
it would have been against Bath. They would have lost that.
Yeah, but still, I'm assuming they would have got some sort of cut from the attendance, so that, like, I don't know what the attendance was for the Bath Lyon final. It was Lyon, wasn't it? I'm not making that up now.
Yes,
but if it was a Bath Ospreys final, you'd imagine that stadium would have been pretty full. So Oh, come on, be nice.
Anyway, yeah, we didn't turn up in this game at all. I think we've named an unchanged 23 from the league game to the European game, and I don't think any other team in Europe named an unchanged team.
No, there were some changes like Jack Price and Alex Craig swapped, bench to start, and Ryan Elias Marner swapped. But that was literally it. It was the same 23 players, as you said. And yeah, it just, I don't want to say we didn't care, but we didn't care. We got the job done. We would have been nice to have got this win and go out to Lyon. Yeah, it would have been. But we didn't know it was going to be Lyon, and it could have been a case of if we would have won, we would have needed to fly to South Africa with like 6 days' notice, and that was just a no go in anyone's mind. So even without knowing that Lyon were going to win, I'll take this. I'm happy with the way it played out. On the off chance it would have been there, because that would have been.
Yeah, it worked. It was a blessing in disguise in the end, wasn't it?
It really was. We got that extra week off, and it kicked fired us. So obviously we had that win in the league the week before, and now we're on to back in the league now for the rest of the season. So I want to say this is game 4, this block, and it's the final Welsh derby of the season, and it was Judgment Day.
Yeah,
Judgment Day.
I was there.
Against the Dragons. You were there.
Very typical Scarlets Dragons, in the Dragons massively turned up for it. I remember that when we were camped in their 22, and I remember when we finally scored, I think it was Henry Thomas got over, there was sarcastic applause in the stadium. It was like, oh, well, you've scored, have you? Finally. And we were behind for a lot of it. It was one of those ones where you always thought, like, we'll win this, but we just made hard work of it, heavy weather of it. And I think it was Tommy Rog that had this awesome tap and go break, and that kind of got us back into the game. I think it was finished by Verfafita. Dragons just dragonsed it up a bit, I'm afraid to say. And yeah, we got the win that we badly needed. And it was the second in a run of bonus point victories that we finished the regular season with. So I think it was very much a case of job done, this one, to be honest.
It was, and I can remember what you're referring to, because that opening 20 minutes, we were just dominating everything. We probably should have had the bonus point try by the time Henry went over. That's the state of what that game was actually like. But yeah, like you said, job done. 2 bonus point league wins in a row, and we're now on to the final block, where, oh wow, we get another double header, sort of. We get to play Leinster twice in this block. So, first game up is that game at home against Leinster.
My favourite game of the season.
Best team in Europe. Oh, ooh, scary, scary. We're coming to get you. You're not coming to get us. We get you. And that is this was a great game to watch.
Because I had a feeling that we were gonna win. I thought we were gonna win going into the game, and then we did. I was so happy.
It was, and we reviewed it after, and you can just see this is just one of them games where obviously again I'm referring. Stop driven. We didn't want Dwayne Peel around last season, because that's at the state of the season was. That's how poor it was. The worst season Scarlets history. But there's been a few games this season where we've seen how good of a coach Dwayne Peel is tactically, and he literally the game plan that was set up put Leinster to the sword in this game. I mean, obviously you can't get it right 100% of the time, but facts are facts. It doesn't matter what Leinster side you play in. You're playing a top quality outfit, and to win 35-22 is brilliant. Third bonus point win in the league in a row. The maestro himself, Sam Costello, was back. Great to see him back. Obviously, we also had a debut for a new player. He was only here for a few short weeks. Louis Trevette, currently with the under-20s. Came from Bristol for for a bit of coverage. Sam O'Connor, I want to torn his bicep, I want to say. But yeah, you could just see it in defense and in attack as well, where we knew what was coming and we set up for it and we defended and attacked so well, and we negated a lot of what they usually do, which again, brilliant. Loved this game. Probably one of my favorite results of the season.
My favorite game of the season. Absolutely. I watched this at my mum and dad's house, and they were like, "Oh, you enjoy this, don't you?" And I was like, "It's not normally this good."
You can't be telling them stuff like that. You need to make
Yeah,
them come to the
no,
park
it's
as
like
well,
this
man.
every week. I mean, yeah.
Uh, Okay, so we're now coming into the end of the regular season with a nice little trip down to South Africa. Yet to win in South Africa in the URC era. So
This is
first
this is
up,
turning into the where did Hugh this impressive how good my memory is, isn't it? This is where did Hugh watch the game show. I didn't watch this game. I was in Provence whilst this game was being played, and so I was following the score. I remember that we'd had a massive lunch. I was there with my mate. We'd had a massive lunch, and then I was having another beer after it. And you know when you feel like someone's inflating a balloon inside you, and it's like I'm going to die any second now. I was feeling like that, and then I had the stress of the Scarlets playing happening at the same time. And I was just following the score, and the BBC app wasn't updating, wasn't refreshing, and I was like, "This is hell." And then we got into something like a 21-5 or a 21 something lead, and then they got back within a point, and I was like, "Oh God, it's happening again." And then we got that late try, and it was all good, and it was our fourth bonus point win in a row, boys.
happy days. It was great to win down there. You know, a bit of a duck off our back, so to speak.
Sammy
But
with
yeah,
a drop goal.
yeah, snap drop goal. That was no, this wasn't the snap drop goal, was it? This was a
But
normal
no,
drop
he
goal.
got two. He got two. Two in
What?
2 weeks.
Yeah, two and two. This wasn't. No, this was the right-footed one.
Yeah, this was on
Yeah,
his right foot.
yeah. I can't argue much from anything you just said. But for those who are listening, you know, who doesn't have a great memory? He just carries a journal with him everywhere he goes, and he's just written all his notes back down. That's all it is. You're not putting me to shame in that category at all, are you? But
That's a good question, Matt. I'll send you it in the group later. Where was I during every Scarlets game this season? Anyway,
anyway, okay. So that was the Lions, a nice 32-19 win. On to the final regular round of the season, game of the season against the Sharks. And 12-3, but loss, obviously. This is up there with one of my favorite games as well, because I really enjoyed the physical battle in this. It was just great. Like, obviously, there's moments in it, like, you know, Sammy tackling, was it Van Rensburg, and just, you know, just
no,
what was his name?
Esthazen.
Esther Hazen, that's the one. So many South African names, big centers, all of them.
Left-footed drop goal.
Yes, left-footed drop goal. The snap because he swapped sides. This is the one I was just referring to. Yeah, that were our only points of the game, wasn't it? 12-3, only against 3. So, you know, realistically, and I'm saying realistically, we had multiple opportunities in this game to score a try, and we looked like the only team that was capable of scoring a try. And it is a big gut in that we didn't get over the line, but, you know, it worked out with the draw and everything. But I just loved every encounter of this game. It just seemed that everything was at a higher level, and like it just seemed that everything was just turned up that extra notch. It was just really good stuff to see on, you know, obviously being in South Africa, I was watching on TV, obviously. Just every collision, every contact area, they just seemed to be something happening. And I know I've spoken before with some of the best games I've seen are like really low scoring. This is one of them.
Yeah.
There's just so much enthralling about it. Like the scrum battle was brilliant. every physical contest, there was something to watch and something to admire, which I loved. And that is me down to a T.
Yeah, and it worked out in the. I think a loss probably suited us for where the fans wanted to go for the knockout game.
Yeah, and we needed to give away that penalty in the end as well.
Yeah.
Because if it was 9-3, that would have been disastrous. Absolutely disastrous for us. So the game 23/24, depending if we're including that. We're probably bugger it. So last one, we're going as fast as we can. We're really sorry we've taken so long. This wasn't meant to last this long. It was a nice little trip.
We don't really need to talk too much about this one because we've spoken about it recently anyway. But just, I think the only thing to say about this is how good does this performance look based on the last 2 games that Leinster have played since?
Well, it's very simple to see that we are the second best team in this league. And I know you posted it out on socials. You look at the semi-final result against Glasgow and then the final against the Bulls. Neither of those sides troubled Leinster at all. And there wasn't a point where Leinster, were worried. Like, don't get me wrong, in our game, I don't think there was really too much time where Leinster were thinking, okay, we're really up against the year, but we did start pushing them in that direction.
Yeah.
And I do feel any other venue, any other country in the world, I think we win that game because some of the decisions were wow. And I know you have your opinions on the blah blah blah. Everyone's has their own opinion, and things need to be more clear cut. But yeah, so much happened in this game. But this again, I know it's Leinster twice, and you can say, "Oh, the tactic," but we've gone from squad Leinster to first team Leinster, and we haven't looked any different. I mean, you talk about the pundits that were talking, even the night before, they were just assuming, Leinster are going to walk over us. And, that 100% didn't happen. I do feel we have to talk about the halftime try, Blair Murray and Ellis Mee just launching down the
Geordie
pitch.
Barrett did an impression of it after he's seen it. He's run about this far behind Blair Murray watching him do it, and he's thought that looks like fun, and he's done it in the grand final.
Exactly. But the thing is, Blair just done it there and then. It took Geordie 2 weeks to figure out how to do it. But yeah, that's just a cracking try. The way you watch him running, synchronized, slowing down, and then speed back up. I mean, the pace on the boys, fair play to them. That is immense. But yeah, that was our season, over and done, and boom. Boom, boom, boom. Anything left to add now? Can we let
just have a quick glance at the season stats because this doesn't really fit into part 2.
Everything fits into part 2.
So this is from the URC stats page. I'm not going to do the Opta ones. The Opta ones are a bit too much. But so attack, the URC stats page ranks us 9th in the league. Now, a lot of these stats I'd kind of like take with a pinch of salt because we're a team that plays without the ball. So all of our like meters made, defenders beaten stats are going to be low because we don't have huge possession during the game. But I think the one for me is tries scored 53, 12th overall. We need to score more tries. I know, look, that doesn't sound like analysis. What do you think of your attack? We need to score more tries. But I think try bonus points is something that we made, apart from in the last bit of the season after Sammy came back, is something that we made a real meal out of this season. Yeah. So I think going into next season, we need to score more tries.
That is obviously a blatant one. I mean, when it comes to meters gained and defenders beaten, I mean, you need to look at individual games. We do win those metrics in a fair few games. It's just a case of when we lose them, by God, do we lose them? And obviously that's why you can see this sort of reflection here. But yeah, you can see that there's a lot of improvement still to be made, which, okay, it's not ideal, but at the same time, it's
I was saying it in the first half of the season. It proved true Our try of the season compilation was amazing. We scored some
Yeah.
amazing tries, especially like in the last Leinster game. It was just a bit short. We did,
Yeah. I mean, you're looking at that, and we scored less than 3 tries a game on average. I mean, I'm assuming does this include the playoffs?
I don't think it does.
Well, even if it does, 18 rounds, the 3 tries a game would be 54 tries. So when we're not hitting 3 tries a game, that is a concern
Should
for
we say that's the target for next year? 3.5 tries a game.
three and a half. I can go with 3.5. So what would that be? 63. So an extra 10 tries. Yeah, that's not bad. I can go for that.
Excellent. Dwayne, there's your challenge. Defense, best defense in the league, according to the URC website. Now, I should say that there's lots of ways to measure defense. The URC website, when it's measured defense, does not take into account how many tries you conceded. That is not part of the calculation. So tackles made, the third most. Tackle success, the fourth best. Tackles missed, the fourth most as well. Turnovers lost
But
is
this,
somehow a defensive stat.
this is where the URC site is a little bit thingy, because where it says fourth for there, you know, is that the fourth least? Because if you were first for tackles, like what way round are they doing it?
I don't know, Mark. I don't know.
Exactly.
I don't understand how turnovers lost is a defensive stat, as an attacking stat. But turnovers 1 second. And I think we had 2 or 3 players in the top 5 for turnovers won. Plumtree, Marnus, and Josh, I think, are the 3.
Yeah.
So there you go. Kicking, if we talk about difference
That
from last year, kicking, we didn't kick last year. We pretended we didn't have feet. This year, the fourth most kickingest team. First for penalties. Bloody hell, 33 penalties. That's a lot. That's a lot.
almost to a game.
Drop goals, 2. Both Sammy, obviously. Kicks from hand, third. That's the big difference. That's the big difference this year, is kicks from hand, third. Kicks retained, mid-table, that's fine. Tries from kicks, not amazing. Kick meters, fifth. So I think, for me, I'd like to see us. I do think that we're good at kicking to compete, especially if we're kicking for Tom to compete, Tommy Rodge to compete, because that's his kind of superpower. I did think in the second game against Leinster, Sammy's radar was a bit off with his kicking to compete. He kicked a bit too long a few times, unfortunately. And then kick meters, I think we need, like I've said, we need to kick longer. Like when I watch top 14 games, I'm like, bloody hell, they can kick from 22 to 22. We can't, we just physically can't kick the ball that far. So I would like to see that improve.
Yeah, got no arguments here. I mean, I'm thinking, are we really fourth based mainly on the 33 penalties?
Yeah, I don't think that should count.
No, no,
Um,
not for what they're going at.
Discipline, 15th out of 16. Scarlets give away penalties. But yellow cards, 18, one per game. The 15th most second most, I think that is in the league. But red cards, 0. No red cards. So there you go.
No red cards. That's an improvement. I mean, one yellow card a game. I see. That's not good. Maybe we can half that.
Yes. A yellow card every other game is our target for next season.
It seems to be discipline has always been an issue, and it's never ever going away.
Yeah.
I mean, penalties conceded 204. I mean, that's okay. You're gonna have some games. Oh, yeah, you got it.
That's more than 10 a game.
Yeah, that's that 10 number. Like,
It's
what I
like
mean?
12 a game. So anyway, right. Line outs, fourth in the league for these, apparently. Again, not sure how that's. So line outs lost. You see, scrum offences sixth with 40. Again, when it says line outs lost 15th, does that mean we lost the second most? I don't know. This isn't very good. But line outs won, some. Line out success, third, 90%. We do have a good line out success.
Line out steals mid table. I think
I think we got a lot of line out steals in Europe as well, which kind of makes us think we got more than we did.
yeah, wasn't really a great season for not. I won't say we're not a great season, but last year we saw Via just destroy everybody's
I
lineup.
think he was this year as well. I think these stats are a little bit misleading, to be honest. And then scrums. So scrums lost. Sorry, the scrums one's lost. The way the URC website formats this, honestly, I think that means we won the third most scrums. Our scrum completion was 95%, which is the
That's
second best.
awesome.
That's pretty bloody good.
That's awesome.
And then scrum penalties won, not that many, but we're one of those teams that's more trying to restart play rather than trying to milk a penalty at scrum time.
Yeah. When it's your put in, which is what these scrums are really looking at,
Yeah.
you don't, unless you're literally in your own 22 on your own 5, you know, you want the game to play out. You want to try something. You want to get that kick downfield. You want to turn the opposition. You want to try a set play. So I'm not really bothered by scrum penalties. The completion, that's the one for me. 95% is outstanding. It really is.
Yeah. Okay, this is again where the URC website falls down a little bit. Leading try scorer Blair Murray with 9, no problem there. Tackle success, Tommy Lewis, 100% tackle success. You get good tackle success if you don't do very many tackles. Penalties, obviously Johan Lloyd got the golden boot in the league. Gareth Davis kicked the ball the most of anybody, touched the ball the most of anybody in the league. Alec Hepburn, 4 yellow cards. I think that they must have all been in the first half of the season. And then Tame Plumtree, 20 penalties, more than one a game.
Yeah, but again, there was that Dragons game where he conceded 4. And the type of back row he is, if it's 1 penalty a game, I'll take it. For the type of player he is, I'll take that. I'm not bothered by that at all. If we were in a position where we were striving for 5 or less penalties a game, which we're clearly not, then yeah, it's an issue. But I don't see no issue with Tane giving away that number of pens.
Other stats quickly, we were the second best for tackle evasion in the URC. We were pretty good on offloads that assisted line breaks.
Yes.
We were good for recovery tackles. Actually, we were the best in the league for recovery tackles. So that a recovery tackle is where
a missed
tackle gets missed, but then someone else tackles them. 78%. That's pretty good.
So that's scramble defense then.
Yeah, scramble defense if you want to call it that. Dominant tackles, no, we weren't very good at those either. Set piece, line out success we talked about. This is funny, the URC website has us down as whatever line out success, and the Opt has got us down as something else. Scrum completion, 96% Opta has us down as.
But that's including Europe then, isn't it?
It doesn't say. No good. Scrum completion is good, like you said. Didn't lose very many by penalty. Only 3.2 scrums lost by penalty. That's pretty good. Maul win percentage, pretty high up there in the league, in fact. Only Leinster better for Maul wins. We were 92%, which is good. Anything that begins with a 90 is good. Maul meter, no, nothing else about the Maul was particularly good. I'm not going to do any of that. That's a bit boring. 22 entries now. 22 entries, bad.
Converted.
Only 7.6 a game, so that's something to increase on. Yeah, so again, not something to write home about. Tries, we were pretty even first half to second half. First phase, we started off scoring the vast majority of our tries on first phase, and kind of towards the end of the season, we learned how to do phase play attack, which was good. I think that was a big part of Costello coming back. Tries in our own half, okay-ish. Set try origins, mostly off turnovers. We scored plenty of tries off turnovers, and that's kind of it. So yeah, like I said, the Opta stats are a little bit more boring, but I think all in all, a perfectly acceptable season.
Perfectly acceptable season. Finishing second. Yes. Okay, we've dragged you on way too long. It's like an hour and 3/4. I'm really, really sorry.
Okay, so next week we're back doing the squad rater, the squad tier list.
Oh yes, happy days. Happy days. And we just don't include anyone that's left us. I'm not talking about them.
You'll see what the categories are when we get there.
All right. Well, thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for joining me here. Nice and quick recap. That was awesome. Great season. Okay, good season. Great season next one coming. We're getting some silverware next year, people. Just believe. Just believe. We'll do it all again next week with that tier list. Here we go. Thank you very much for listening. Bye for now.
Bye-bye.
That was Saucepans and Sidesteps. Please rate, review and share on socials if you can, and join us again next week for more of the same. And until then, enjoy your rugby.
This podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.